Hey, what's up? Welcome to Open House. We are the house brokerage podcast all about the inside look at house brokerage. And we are joined today by a very special agent that we're going to introduce in just a minute. But first, I'd like to introduce myself as Matt Davis. I'm one of your co-hosts, and the other co-host in the room,
I'm
the
Bryce.
legendary M. Bryce Olson. Bryce, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Fantastic. Now, we have a very special guest, as I mentioned. Her name is Stephanie Dunbar. So Stephanie, a little background about her. She is an agent. She hasn't even been an agent for a full year yet. And as of today, she has 5 houses under contract. She is crushing the numbers. She's crushing her goals. And truly, from what I've known and for how long I've known Stephanie, she's one of the most hardworking agents I've ever met. And when you learn about all of the things you need to do to be successful in real estate, you know, you hear a lot of people that they do a little of this, they do a little of this. Sometimes they'll try this. I feel like Stephanie is an agent who does it all. She does everything and more. She's always grinding, always hustling. She's just this phenomenal agent of, if I was going to say, what should a new agent do when they're getting into the business? Stephanie Dunbar just completely exhibits that in every single way. So Stephanie, welcome to Open House. We're excited you're here. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm great this morning. How are you guys?
Very
Doing well,
good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
So let's talk a little bit about you. We talked about, obviously, that you're crushing it. You have 5 houses under contract right now. Congratulations.
Thank
How's
you.
that feel? Let's start there.
Yeah, a little bananas at
Yeah.
times, but it's good. It's good. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear.
If I may interrupt for a minute, Stephanie was just telling me before we got started that she is expecting to have a new build under contract today as well. So let's just call the 5, 6, and
Let's call it 6.
keep on rolling. So,
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I don't know very many agents, you know, in their first year that do 6 deals, let alone have 6 under contract at one time. So congratulations, first and foremost. So let's talk a little bit about your secret sauce today. But what I really want to know is, tell us about you
Okay.
and tell us about how you got into real estate.
So a little bit about me. I worked for 15 years in the mortgage servicing industry. Those first 5 years were within customer service and default and bankruptcy litigation. And then I moved to a different company where for the last 10 years, I did mortgage litigation. So I handled a little bit of bankruptcy, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, HOA litigation, you name it, I probably came across it.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you did professionally before you got into real estate.
Yes.
One thing that I would love to hear about is your competitive side in terms of the triathlons. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, so I am competitive. I started out as a runner. I was a runner for years. And then after I completed my second marathon, I wanted to think outside of how can I further challenge myself? So I gave myself one of 2 options. I said either I'm going to do, 100-mile races, 100-mile endurance races, or I want to try something I've never done before, which was triathlon. And I knew that I could run. So I knew that if I trained myself and conditioned my mind, I could run 30, 40, 50, up to 100 miles, whatever that goal was. But as far as triathlon, I didn't know how to swim, and I hadn't been on a bike since I was a kid. So the bigger challenge to me was to try triathlon, try. So I decided to learn how to swim. I bought a used road bike off of Craigslist, and I just went for it, and I was hooked.
Wow. So what you're saying is the marathon wasn't hard enough, and you needed a bigger challenge. I don't know very many people. I know people. I know myself where I'm like, I'm not doing a marathon. That sounds horrible. That sucks. I don't want to do that. So what you're telling me is that not only did you do the marathon, but now you're like, hey, this wasn't hard enough. I got to do more. And then you learned how to swim. That's the other thing. And then that's incredible. Okay. So obviously very driven. Very competitive.
And I think that just speaks to not being afraid of anything. And I mean, translating that over into real estate, soon after you started, I remember you had a client that came to you that wanted to do a commercial deal. And you weren't afraid to do that. You found the resources and you had a team around you to help you, with that, but just not being afraid to get, anything accomplished. And not limiting yourself to anything. And that just speaks to who you are for sure.
Well, thank you. I will say that the fear is there. So I do have fear. I do get afraid, but it's just throughout life, I've learned that if your goals don't scare you, they're probably not big enough. And if you don't face that fear, you'll never know what's on the other side of it. So it's taking that calculated risk and really thinking through, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And I think it was a Les Brown speech or YouTube video I was listening to where he was talking about going out, and he was quoting someone else where he said, go out so far, swim out so far that you have no choice, that you can't turn back, that you have no choice other than to succeed. So I try to do that where if I'm afraid, you know what, hey, let's face it anyway. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think knowing you and being in this spot where learning more and more about how you do your business, it is contagious how you take on these fears and you essentially say, hey, I'm going to make this work no matter what, which is amazing. So you get into real estate, you were in mortgage litigation, you worked for a bank, and you said, hey, I want to do real estate. Yes. What kind of was that reason for you? Like, what was your why? Because everybody has a different why. Yeah. But what was your why?
It started a few years, just kind of looking. It was around the point where I was doing a lot of HOA litigation. And I like to dive into things and figure out how things work. And just as started looking into the real estate industry, and also around that time, even though I enjoyed what I did, I didn't feel fulfilled. And I knew I love people. I love helping people. I love being of service to people. I also had that creative side. I love design. I love, I was an HGTV fanatic. And it was kind of, how can I bring this all together? And I was looking at a career change because I knew I wanted to be back around people again. And so while working for the bank, I wanted to get back into, I tried getting into the investment side, and they kept telling me, you don't have sales experience. You don't have enough sales experience, or the sales experience you have, it's too old. And so it was frustrating for me because I knew where my heart was, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew, what I was good at, but it was just figuring out how to bring it all together. And the more I kept looking into real estate and being a realtor, the more I was drawn to it. And so finally, when that last door closed in my face and I was given that no yet again, I said, okay, I'm going to take my real estate courses. I'm going to go for it. And if it doesn't work out, I can always go back and apply. But if I don't at least see if this is for me, I won't know. I just knew I couldn't stay stuck where I was.
Okay. So you take the leap.
Yes.
You jump into real estate and you find yourself where every agent who's a new agent finds themselves of the water starts rising very quickly.
Yes.
And it's sink or swim. You got to figure it out, right?
Yes.
Which is a very stressful time. Every agent alive has been there. You just got your license. Now what?
Yes.
So take us back to that period of time.
So being the person that I am and talking to and connecting with as many people as possible, I've been told the same thing repeatedly. You probably won't have a deal for at least 6 months. And so I had to mentally prepare for that and financially attempt to prepare for that. But as much as you try to prepare, you're never still really fully prepared. So going into it with that mindset, I said, okay, here's what I've been told. Here's what statistics say. I'm still going to give it everything that I have. I'm going to throw everything into this, feet first. And if I build it, it will come. So, if I don't have anything for 6 months, great. If I get something before that, then, that's great as well. But I knew that I had to, leaving my job, having 2 children to support, that I had to give it everything right off the bat and just go all in and just be all in. So from the moment that I left my job. I jumped right in open houses, and I was playing around on Pinterest. I started, making little pop buys and gifts and things to kind of just let everybody know, hey, I'm a realtor now. I'm in the real estate industry. Talking to as many people as I can. I think I knew that with any type of sales, it's a numbers game. So the more people you talk to, the more people you connect with, the more likely you are to see some type of success. So it was visiting new build communities, going to different events, just talking to and connecting with as many people as I possibly could, and then just seeing what came from there.
Yeah, that's so for the new agent that comes in today, they say, Stephanie, I want to get my license. I want to become as successful as you in my first year. What's your advice to them?
It's a roller coaster. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And that you have to talk to a lot of people, that nothing's just going to fall into your lap. You do have to get out there and work for it. And you have to have a heart for it, because people can detect when you're genuine, and they can detect when you have a heart for what you do. And then they can also detect what I've heard to referred as commission breath. So you want to genuinely connect with people. You want to keep plugging away at it, and you've got to be prepared for the no's. And I mentioned in another interview, even when you get the yeses, yes doesn't always pan out, because people's circumstances change. Anything can happen. Nothing's a done deal until they're at the closing table signing the paperwork, and then you hand them the keys. Up until that point, even your yeses are still kind of on edge. You can go on edge all the way up until closing day. So it is a roller coaster. You can't talk to just 10 people, get 10 no's, and get discouraged. You have to keep going. You have to keep plugging away. Let everybody know what you're doing, and don't be ashamed. I probably annoy people on social media, because I will post everything that I'm doing, but I don't care, because that's how I feed my family. So you're going to know that I'm a realtor, and even if you don't use me, maybe you'll send somebody my way. I've gotten clients that have reached out to me where they maybe didn't like my post, but they screenshot my post and sent it to a friend when they said, hey, do you know a realtor? So you never know how far of a reach that's going to have. But I don't want to say you can't be afraid, because it's okay to have a little fear, but you have to do it anyway. And just really, really face down those fears, face down those anxieties. Know you're going to have discouragement. You're going to have disappointments. And that's okay. You just get back up and keep going.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really good.
Stephanie, something about you that I think really sets you apart is just how open-handed you live. And I wanted to kind of speak to like the fact that you said even when it doesn't work out, there's something that can come out of that.
Yeah.
And something that I see in you so much as someone like within the team with you is how much you share about everyone else on the team and how much you promote everyone. And that's very unique in real estate. I think it's even more unique as a new agent, because you're kind of like, you're a new agent and you're like fighting for anything you can get and any opportunity you have, but you have referred clients that you've worked with to other agents on the team, maybe because you're out of town or, there's something going on in your life and you want to give that away to them and not asking for anything in return. So I don't know if there's something that you can think to that like you would say as to why you are that way or not. But if not, I just want to say you are that way, and it's so impressive, and it's so, like for me to look at you just being so freely giving to everyone, I'm so impressed by it and so thankful for it, and it just fits the culture of our brokerage, of our team so well. But is there anything that you can think of as to kind of why you are that way?
It's something that's been ingrained in me, I'd have to say, through my faith, is that I've always learned and been taught that when you hold on to something, I know that people can't see me, But when you hold on to something, your hands are
I
closed.
can't. Just so you know, we didn't tell you we're on video too. Just kidding.
Okay. So your hands are closed, they're clenched tight. And if you're holding on to something so tight, sometimes it can do more damage than it can good. But when your hands are open and you let something go, not only have you let something go, but your hands are also open to receive. So I feel like if it's something that I'm holding on to so tightly, if I'm holding on to this client so tightly, or I'm holding on to this deal so tight, and or I'm so afraid to let this go because I need it so bad, it may end up doing more harm than good, not only for me, but it may not be good for that client either if I can't give them my best. But if I open my hands and I let it go and I help somebody else, or I make sure that that client's need is taken care of first, because that client comes first, everything else for me will fall into place like it needs to. But if I make sure that client is taken care of first, and that I've let go and let my teammate or another agent take care of that person the way that it needs to, then it's just something in the back of my mind that I've opened my hands to be able to receive later down the line. And everything always has a way of working out, even when it doesn't work out. And I know I'm a bit chatty Cathy right now, but I have to share one situation in particular. So I had a client I was working with a few months ago, and it was when the market was super, super hot. And we kept getting outbid, and finally she just shut down and said, I can't do this anymore. And it was like, wow, okay, and that just, it was just kind of one of those things where it is what it is, that the client was not, just didn't want to keep going through this situation where she was constantly getting outbid, and it just seemed to be no end to it. And I had to step back, and I would check in with my client periodically and just say, hey, the market's shifting, it's slowing down. You have any questions, just let me know. Or just say, hey, how's your day going today? Just checking in, but never really being, too aggressive with this client, but letting them know that I was there. And so even though I hadn't yet at the time sold this client a home, the client sent me a referral who is now contracting on a home. And so I'm working with the referral that this client sent me. And it was when we were doing our house brokerage photo shoot, I get a phone call from the client and her fiance, and they said, we just wanted to call and let you know that we got engaged. I'm like, yay, that's exciting. Congratulations. Let me know where you guys are registered. I'm so happy for you. And they were like, yes, well, two things. One, we wanted to invite you to our wedding. And I'm like, who invites their realtor to the wedding? And I haven't even sold you guys a home yet. Like, that's amazing. And two, they were like, well, we're getting to that. We need a home now, too. We would like to resume our home search. And it just kind of drove home the fact of everything works out just how it's supposed to. And that, when you take care of people, things they just work out. So even though I was just blown away at the fact that one, I got invited to the wedding. How cool is that? And then two, they had already sent me a client, even though they had not yet purchased the home. And then now three, they resumed their home search, and they're one of the 5 under contract right now.
That's wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So from what I'm getting is that intentionality with your clients.
Yes.
That is so important that you exhibit every step of the way. I don't know very many people who are even seasoned agents that get invited to their clients' weddings that aren't, because this was a lead, right? This wasn't like
It was a referral.
Okay.
It was a
But
referral.
so it's not something that you know personally,
No.
right? It's one thing if it's like, yeah, this is my friend Joe. I'm helping Joe buy a house, and I got invited to Joe's wedding. But this is, by all intents and purposes, a stranger
Yes.
that you are now helping buy a house, that they know you and trust you enough to invite them to one of the most intimate parts of their life, which is their wedding, right?
Yeah.
And so that's incredible. Do you feel like that's something that client by client by client you have built in to be like the bedrock of your business is that intentionality and connecting with them?
It is. It is. I try to listen first, and I pick up on things, and I try to work with the client based upon how they've communicated with me, and how their personality type is. And I'll give another example. So there's a lead that I took, and that lead, when I first spoke to the lead, he said, "Don't call me. I'll call you. I don't want to be bothered. I'm only inquiring about this one house. And if I want to buy it, I'll let you know." So I said, "Okay, you got it." I made sure to opt him out of any automations or anything like that. We went to go see the first home that he wanted to go look at. He just kind of walked around it, did his thing. I interacted with him, but just, wanted to be mindful and respectful. And so he said, "All right, the house is okay. I'll let you know if I want to move forward or not." I said, "Okay." So I, followed up with him and let him know, "Hey, the sellers are negotiable on the home. Just want to let you know if there's anything you need, I'm here." So a couple days passed by. He sends another home and says, "Hey, Stephanie, I'd like to see this home, if you're available." I said, "Okay." So one, I was a little excited that, he's wanting to see a different home. So, there's some kind of wanting to work with me there, I believe. And then I get to the house to do the showing, and it was night and day. He's full of personality. He's, "Hey, good afternoon. How are you?" And just chatting it up. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is like night and day from the first time that we met. And what I gathered was, in working with this client, is he's probably called Zillow or Realtor.com, I don't know how many times. And it has obviously gone through the, "Hey, I don't want to be bothered," and been bothered. And I think that it was just the fact that I listened to him and respected his boundaries. And from that, was able to start building a relationship with this client to where, we're still working together. I'm still showing him homes, and that he's even felt comfortable just opening up and not being, so cold.
Yeah.
Something else about you is, and that's a $2 million man, right? That's the
Yes.
$2 million lead. You left that part out, but
Yes.
that's just because, and the reason why you didn't emphasize that is because you treat all people the same.
Yes.
And you help people, whether this is their first rental and they're, college students or whatever, or you have, your multi-million-dollar person. And, and that's something that I'm sure that he has probably had a lot of people he might have met one time, and they're kind of like, they have that thing that you mentioned earlier of commission breath,
Yes.
And you just respected his wishes, listened to him, and treated him exactly like you do everyone else. And that just really speaks to, to who you are. And I think there's not any question there, but I just wanted to say, that I know also that, speaking of your referrals, I know one of the deals that you have under contract is a referral of a referral of a referral. And
Yes.
that's crazy. That's great. I've never had that, I've been in this for 6 years, and I don't think I've ever had someone that I helped, and then they referred me to someone that I helped, and then they referred me to someone. That's just like that ripple effect of taking care of people, and stuff. So, talk about we're talking about all these amazing, awesome stories and all how easy this is, and that it's not. And so talk a little bit about maybe something that you've experienced that hasn't been easy, and how you dealt with that, how you handled that situation.
Oh my goodness, I can think of so many examples. I've dealt with difficult agents on the other side. I've had client difficulties. The main one that comes to mind is, I remember my first contract termination, and oh my goodness, I was not prepared for that. I get a little naive going into it, thinking that once somebody contracts on a home, they want it and they're going to get to the closing table. But again, things change, things happen. People are at a different place in their life. Sometimes people get cold feet. And the biggest lesson for me was when it happened, I took it personally. I thought that I did something wrong, or that, that I missed the mark somewhere, and it had absolutely nothing to do with me, but everything to do with where the client was at that point in their life, and just realizing that they just were not ready to purchase a home. But I honestly, I hit a really, really low place with that termination, because it wasn't just that one, but I put in another offer for a client within that same week. And then that client also changed their mind and backed out. And so I was like, oh my gosh, 2 in 1 week. Like, this is crazy. I got bills to pay, and, and what am I doing wrong? And, is this, I just didn't understand. I had so many things swirling around. And so at the time, even though I wasn't failing, I was feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
And I was starting to trend towards a really low spot, because I'm looking at everybody around me, and the market was crazy. So, you get on social media and you're friends with all these realtors, and they're under contract, closing. And it was like, okay, I just had 2 fall through in 1 week. Like, wow, where do I go from here? And it was, honestly, having a really good support system around me to say, hey, you're in your first year. You're actually in your first few months. Who puts in, multiple contracts in 1 week and within their first few months? And what I'm seeing as a failure was actually a blessing. And there was so much that I could learn from that. And looking back on that, I know now that, you hear the cliche, the quotes of, fail early, fail often, fail forward. But when you actually feel like you're failing, it's a whole different ball game, because, you have so much, you're gung ho, as a new agent. I'm like excited, I'm ready to do these deals. And, it was really just taking a step back and having to dig out of that hole, and not learn to not take it personally, that it's just part of the business, and that there are ups and downs, and it's okay not to be okay, but you can't stay there. Especially, you got to get back up and just keep going. And so from that, I ended up with like a renewed drive, and I started, just jumping back in there, taking every lead and talking to every person that I could. And even like, it didn't immediately turn around. I didn't immediately start putting, tons of people under contract. I was showing as much as I could, speaking to as many people as I could. And then within the next couple of months, like, everybody that I spoke to and started building connections with, and started working with, all of a sudden they started searching, they started finding homes, and everything started to come together. But it didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen immediately. And it took consistency and still working at it. And literally, just going to be transparent, like, maybe waking up super disappointed with a tear rolling down my cheek of, I'm unemployed. What am I going to do today? To seeing the phone ring with, that Zillow Premier agent and immediately flipping and answering that call. Hey, this is Stephanie, so you're interested in 123 Main Street. How can I help you today? And it's not letting that, how I was feeling just 2 seconds before I picked up that call, come through to that opportunity on the other side.
Yeah. So you had mentioned a few things there that were incredible. One of the things that I see there with you is the consistency. So for those agents that are watching, listening, thinking, okay, how do I achieve this level of success? So consistency, first and foremost. Absolutely. I see you embody that personally, but for those that don't know you, how do you keep up with that consistency?
I have a whiteboard.
Yeah, that's I feel like every agent, if you're listening right now, go buy a whiteboard, because that's me too. That's the one thing to do it. But talk a little bit. So you have a whiteboard. What goes on your whiteboard?
Everything. My goal for the year, where I'm at towards that goal, how many leads I've taken, who's under contract, who's actively searching, what offers are pending. And then I even have, I'll tag it with either a L, meaning it's a lead, or an R, meaning it's a referral. So I can even keep track of leads and referrals, because I try to keep them balanced as well. Sometimes I can get really lead heavy and not have a lot of referrals. And then sometimes I have a bunch of referrals and then just a couple of leads. And then I also track where they are in the process, because it's great to have, 3, 4, 5 under contract, but then when they all close, what's next? So just also keeping in mind that even though I've got, this right now in front of me and it's all great, what about 2, 3, 4 months down the line? And then also just wanted to throw this out there for people that, say, oh, I'm not going to buy till next year, or I'm not going to buy for 6, 7 months. They go on the whiteboard too.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I need people closing next year.
Right.
And 6, 7 months down the line. And I need to stay, what I learned from you guys, stay top of mind. I don't want to lose sight of them. And in 6, 7 months, they've forgotten who I am and have, gone with somebody else.
I think that's what also sets you apart, because it's that mindset of you're going to need to help, that they're going to need to have help down the road, and not the mindset that you need the check today.
Right.
And I think sometimes people are like, oh, I want to get that deal. I want to go show that house today because I need to pay my bills this month. But when you're looking forward, and to be thinking that way as early on into the industry as you have been is awesome. Let's talk about your goals. You mentioned your whiteboard.
Yes.
So can we talk about that? I know,
Yeah.
you don't have to give, all your numbers and stuff if you don't want to, but kind of talk about when you set your goal, kind of where did you come up with kind of your goal for that first year?
Again, I was a little naive. I was thinking, okay, once I jump into this thing and start learning, because I was keeping in mind I may not have anything for 6 months, but I was like, once I get going, hey, 1 or 2 homes a month, and this is the average price of a home, I think I can, swing this goal, which is the 6 million. And I came to that by thinking if I could close to at least like 300 or 350,000. That's kind of like the average where we are per month, or that would get me there. And I may be a little bit off with my math, but it was kind of just being naive and thinking, okay, once I get going, like, this is what realtors do. Realtors just sell 1 or 2 homes a month. And then once I got really into it, I realized, no, that's not normal. That you don't, it's nice if you do, but that's a really, really high goal. And so once it was like, whoa, that's a big goal. I don't know if I can hit that. And then you'll hear me mention Les Brown a lot, because I watch him a lot on YouTube. And, he always says shoot for the moon, because if you shoot for the moon, you'll at least end up amongst the stars. And I was like, I don't care if it's a super high goal or not. I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to shoot for it. And what's the worst that could happen? I don't hit it, but I do a couple million, it's still something. So I want to just leave it there.
And it's still very possible that you get to that number. In fact, I think it's
wild.
It's like you're going to be close.
Yeah. Inching towards a little over halfway there now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So for the agents that are watching, listening, saying, I'm well into my year, or maybe I'm just starting my year, right? And they're developing their goal.
Yeah.
Staying consistent to the goals. Whiteboard is amazing. That's a great way to do that. Staying on top of your business is super important. Obviously, like what you had said, you're future-proofing your business, as in you're saying, okay, yeah, I have clients today that I need to show today, but tomorrow I need clients as well. So you're keeping all those people there. How do you keep people top of mind? Because I know you say you work leads. Not every agent works leads. So for those agents that maybe they don't work leads, or maybe they do, and they're trying to kind of figure out how to stay top of mind, tell us your recipe for success, how you stay top of mind.
I like to do the Popeyes, and it maybe it's because I'm a Pinterest fanatic, and I like being creative, but I like making little things and just dropping them off and connecting with people. I try to connect with my kids' schools and their activities, stay connected that way, and then also just everything doesn't always is. This gonna sound weird, but everything doesn't always have to be about real estate. So I will go out to lunch with friends, just just connecting with people, just making sure that, always happy birthdays, the holidays, just making sure, that I connect with people. I help people when I can, try to be involved in the community. And even though I say everything doesn't have to be about real estate, it comes up because people go, "Oh, how's the industry right now? How's the market? It's crazy," or now it's crashing. And then that's my favorite, it's crashing. And so having the ability to speak with that. And it's so funny, I was sharing with Bryce, I went to the football moms brunch a couple of days ago, and I was like, I'm not going to talk about real estate. I'm just going to go make friends and have fun and just relax. So I sit down and I start talking about real estate.
I think it's, yeah.
The lady next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mom next to me, I can't remember how it came up, but she said something. And I said, yeah, I tried to share that. Oh, she was talking about the growth in the area. So how our area is just growing like crazy. And how it's just a good, just area to invest in. I said, yeah, I share that a lot with my clients. And she goes, are you a realtor? It was over.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
done.
she
Well,
brought it up.
Yeah.
So
there's an important thing though there that I want to touch on is that it is, nobody likes, and I'm that guy all the time. So my wife is also a realtor, and she tells me like, hey, you're coming on a little too strong sometimes with my friends, right? Because
Yeah.
I'll be talking, and once real estate gets brought up, I'm done. Like the whole conversation is done. But I think that it's really important. And we had talked before the show, we started recording about this. I want to kind of talk about again here about how, when you love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're in real estate and you're producing and like you're meeting new people and you glow. And it's
Yeah.
almost like, people always make fun of realtors because it's like we post every sold, every under contract, everything. And we're always like, look at all the business we're doing. Look, we're making money. Yay.
Yeah.
In an industry where it really is you eat what you kill, and anything else, it's not there. Those events are big events for us, right?
Yeah.
And so we're glowing because of that, because we're happy and we're excited for our clients. We're excited for us. We're excited
Yes.
for so many different reasons. And then when you love it so much, as I know you do,
Yeah.
you glow and you just want to talk about it all the time. And I say this all the time, I never want to do anything else ever again.
Yeah.
I've had other careers, I've had other professions, as have you. You get into real estate and it's like all of a sudden, it's like this gate unlocks. And when you start being successful in real estate, because that's where it really starts. So when you really start to glow is when you start getting success, because it's really hard to be successful.
It is.
As you're talking about, But once you kind of unlock that, it really is like, I never want to do anything ever again. And so talk about that a little bit, about that love for real estate, because I know I've heard you say that you never want to do anything else. This is it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What about real estate for you makes this thing the end game for you?
The biggest thing for me, which is going to probably be surprising to a lot of people, is it's such a faith building journey. My faith, it has always been there, but it's grown tremendously. And just seeing things work out time and time again for people, being a part of one of the biggest transactions of their lives, and then also seeing different things that everybody's journey is different, and getting to know these families, getting to work with them one-on-one. When you're searching for a home, you spend a lot of time with people. I saw this, it was either a TikTok or a meme of this realtor and the family, and it was like before the transaction, and you see them together every day, and then the family closed on the home. and then you see the realtor like coming up, knocking on the door, looking a little sad because all of a sudden you go from spending every day together to, they're in their home, they're enjoying it. But just seeing so many times where it looked like it wasn't going to work out, or, the home that they wanted went under contract and then it came back on the market and they got it, or there's so many different circumstances and things that I can just think of where it just looked like it just wasn't going to come together, and it did. And getting to witness that and be a part of that is just amazing. I absolutely love it. I mean, I love houses. I love, architecture, design. There's just so many things about real estate that I just absolutely love. That just brings it together for me, where I just say, thank you, God. I'm finally doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. I'm here where I'm supposed to be. And I'm just so thankful and grateful for that.
Yeah. So many realtors have a stigma of they don't really care about me. They're only here to get a commission. They only, and people don't like realtors. Yeah. People call realtors the ultimate salesman, used car. Like we can go down a list of things that people perceive realtors as. And I think it's realtors like you that shift the narrative and kind of show that not everybody's like that. So for the agents who are kind of struggling that first 1 year, 2 year, maybe they're in their offices and they see these really cutthroat agents who are, cutting people out of deals and kind of adding to that narrative of a negative realtor, right? What would you say is, we've talked about the generosity, consistency. What else do you have that's that secret sauce that kind of puts you ahead of the pack and allows you to be so successful, but also allows you to serve people truly no matter what? What is your secret, and what would you say is like your one piece of advice you would give to that agent who's sitting there ready to give up, ready to hang up their license, and they're like, I'm done, no more?
Connect with people, and connect with your clients, and connect with like-minded agents. Put yourself in a community where not only not only are they succeeding, but they want to see you succeed. And when you surround yourself with the right people, you can't help, it's contagious. You can't help but want to succeed. You can't help but want to share that. So I think community and connecting with people is just really, really important, because we can't do it by ourselves. I can think of a time when I remember I was going to show a client, and there was an accident on the highway, and the highway was shut down at a standstill. And I was able to just hop on like our team group text and say, hey, can anybody go show this client? They're at the house right now. I've been stuck in traffic for over an hour. I'm not moving, can't turn around, can't go anywhere. And just having someone be able to jump in and do that, or, having a community to be able to ask questions, because I don't know it all. I'm learning a lot every day. There's so much to real estate. Every contract is different. Every client is different. You're always going to encounter something new, but just having to support the community. And that's one of the things I love about the team, and that I like about, about house brokerage, is the community, the support, not feeling like you're in this game alone, because you can feel like you're in it alone. But when you have that community, that support, people who want to see you succeed, it's priceless.
Yeah. So let's talk about where you've chosen to have your community. Obviously, you're on a team.
Yes.
And you're with a brokerage.
Yes.
So let's start by talking about the team that you've decided to join. Why did you decide to join that team? And then let's talk about the brokerage after that. So starting with a team, what team are you on?
So I'm on the Bryce's Right team.
Okay. Good team.
Yes. And how I came about that. So when I was getting ready to get my license and looking into, just doing all my research, a friend of mine who's also a realtor said, I've reached out to her and I said, hey, I've got people saying, join a team, don't join a team, be solo, don't be solo. I know nothing about teams. It's like the whole concept. I'm just ignorant of it. So, do you know anybody I could just talk to? I just want to ask questions. And she said, if there's one team that comes to mind, and that's Bryce's team. And she said his agents are always succeeding. He seems to really, truly care about his team, care about his agents. If there's anybody, I would recommend, it would be him. It's like, okay, how do I get in? Like, can you connect us? I was like, do you think he'd be, willing to just answer my questions? I just want to, just ask questions. And so she set up, we all did lunch together, and I met Bryce and got to talking, because once I get to talking, I don't stop. Like before that, I can be pretty quiet and pretty chill, but once you get me to talking, I'm pretty chatty. So I started talking to Bryce, connecting with him, and it just all came together. So shortly after that, I got to meet the team, and from the moment I met the team, it just, I didn't feel like an outsider. Like, even though I was an outsider and I wasn't a part of the team yet, from the time that I sat down with the team, and it was the same way when I sat down with Price, it was like, a connection, and just the vibe that I got, and just seeing how, following the team on social media, seeing how everybody operated. And it wasn't just a yes, the drive was there and the success was there, but it was the friends, givers, advocates that was there. It wasn't just a tagline. Like, I could see this reflected throughout each individual person. And so it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I'm very thankful and grateful that the team said, hey, we'll take this rookie. And
it was not a hard decision to make. And, we do turn away a lot of people to our team, and we've talked about that before. But when we find that perfect fit, that is just so evident that they would be not someone that's just a good fit to what we already have, but someone who's going to bring so much to our team. And you've proven that time and time again in helping with agents doing the pop buys that you love to do. You help other agents with those. And in this very room that we're in now, you've led a class on REO, property and foreclosures. And I mean, you've given your knowledge, you've brought so much to the table. So I'm glad to hear and to know how much the team has given to you. But I just want to say personally, from my perspective, how much you've brought to the team, and it's been just as much as you've ever been given. And we've been so thankful and grateful to have you on our team, in our group, in our organization, now in our brokerage. And so let's, I guess, kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so super excited about the brokerage. Just seeing that community and that culture grow, and seeing that more and more agents will have the opportunity to be a part of that is amazing. And it just feeling tremendously blessed to watch this thing from the ground up, and just watch people come in that maybe were at a point of, hey, I'm going to hang my license because this isn't working for me, but I'm going to give this new brokerage a shot. And just seeing with the technology, the support, and the culture, where they go from there.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's good to hear that all of those things are super important to you, and that you're recognizing that and joining the brokerage. Do you feel like, as an agent, where you're at, if you have these people, because you had mentioned before, you have, you had asked the question that I had asked when I got into real estate: do I join a team? Do I stay solo? What do I need to do? Some people, the answer goes one way. Some people, the answer goes the other. I was told personally, don't join a team. You never need to join a team.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there for like 6 months when I first got into real estate, floundering, not knowing what to do, because I didn't have that community that you had talked about. I joined a team and my business blew up. So I joined a very good team as well, obviously. But what would you say to those agents who are kind of sitting here on the fence of like, do I join a team? Do I stay solo? I don't really know what to do. I don't want to lose my name and my brand, but I also need more support. What would you say to those people?
The support trumps everything. Support and community trumps everything. So if you are a solo agent, but you have that community and that support, go for it. But if you feel like, you're on your own and you don't have community, you don't have support, you kind of looking around like, I don't know what to do, join a team.
Yeah.
Join a team. It's kind of like with everything else in real estate. What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work out, at least you tried. But at least give it a shot.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I see, what we've seen when people join the team with not even our team, but most teams, is that support begins to blossom.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't realize about real estate is it can be a very lonely industry.
Oh, yeah.
And so, having that support system to fall back on definitely helps provide some sort of sanity in the times that a deal goes through and you're, having a hard time with it. You had mentioned something before I wanted to touch on of mindset.
Yeah.
And so mindset's super important.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I say a lot is like, it's okay to be upset about anything, but you got 24 hours and you got to keep going.
Yeah.
You got to get up and keep going.
You told me that.
And I say that a lot, but I feel like that's something that for me, because that mindset, a negative mindset, can breed toxicity, not only in your own business, but towards your clients too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of realtors can fall into this trap of, my clients it's a tough deal. My clients are upset. There's a lot of emotions going around. And now they start feeling, these negative feelings towards their clients, when our job is to have this fiduciary duty to be, completely loyal and working with and for our clients.
Yeah.
So having that positive mindset is pretty important, obviously.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very difficult, but it's very important. Talk about how you stay positive with that, even in facing all this adversity.
It goes back to consistency, and not just consistency in my business, but consistency with my clients. I kid you not, when the market was super crazy a few months ago and we were putting in offer after offer after offer and multiple offers and had a lot of rejections. When I deliver that news, it's not that I'm excited to deliver the news, but I deliver it with the same positive mindset that I deliver good news. And what I mean by that is I call my client with the same tone. And so they never know until I deliver the news what I'm calling them with, because I don't call with a down tone. I try to keep up that same positive, upbeat, that we always talk with. And so I feel like if I set that tone with them, even when I'm delivering the news that they don't want to hear, that it helps it go over a little bit better. So, for example, I have a client, I've had to deliver the news, multiple times that their offer was not accepted. Every single phone call, I'm like, hey client, how's your day going? How's it going today? Good, and just kind of seeing where they're at. And then I tell them, well, hey, I've got some news. Either yay, congratulations, or no, I'm sorry, things didn't work out for this one. And then it's kind of like when the baby falls and you pick them up and you say, hey, you're okay. So I'll deliver the news.
That's so good.
And as soon as, I say, hey, you didn't get this house, I'm like, but you know what? 4 other houses hit the market today. Let me know when you're ready to go back out. I've already checked on 2 of them for them. I'm waiting to hear back from the agents, on XYZ.
Wow.
Like I try to move them so that they don't, stay there in that disappointment, but already have those next steps ready for them. So it's like, okay, I didn't get the house, but here we've got 3 others we can go see that may work out, and one may be better.
Yeah. Yeah. You give them the answers to their problem the moment you give them the problem, which I think is, if you're listening, there's the secret sauce right there. That is.
I've never heard you say that. That's like just having that same tone. I know you've had a client where you've had to deliver that, let's say, bad news 10 times, and it was the 11th one that was accepted, right? But saying it not as bad news, like I have some bad news, because I will tell you I'm guilty of that. And just saying I have some news, I have an update, staying in that same that same frame of mind, that same tone, that's huge. Like I'm so glad to have been in this room today to hear that. So, I think that's something that we can all learn a lot from.
Yeah, that's kind of next level. And it sounds so simple, but it really is one of those things that as a real estate professional, and I love the analogy of like when it's a baby, you have to pick them back up, because I don't care if, a client has sold 20 homes or if this is the first time home buyer. Part of my job, every transaction I've ever been in, except for one where the person was also a realtor, it's me. And even then, it's me educating and kind of saying, okay, this is what this process is going to look like. And just like you said, every single transaction is different. Yeah. With a buyer or a seller, every transaction for them is going to be different. And so just because they sold a house a year ago or 20 years ago, the market's going to look different. The buyer and seller on the other side, they're going to be a different buyer and seller who are going to have different motivations as well. Mm-hmm. So it's part of our job, even when kids sometimes can say, hey, I know better than you do, mom and dad. Yeah. Sometimes as realtors, we get that with our clients saying, hey, I know how this works. Yeah. And it's kind of having to be like, okay, well, I understand. However, and then teach them and have those teachable moments even within your own client sphere. And so talk about kind of your process of how do you educate your clients and bring them along from finish to the ending to be able to say, this is the transaction. Let me educate you in a way that's nobody likes, the smart aleck who walks in the room and says, let me tell you exactly how this is going to work. Because we even sometimes get curveballs, right? So talk about that a little bit.
So sometimes I use words like I'll say, I know you probably already know this, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. And then that way it doesn't sound like as if it's a client that, does know a lot or feel like they know a lot. I'm trying to put it to them like, hey, it's my job to tell you, like, even if you already know, it's my job to share this with you. And so, it's more of that, I know you know this, right? And then either, yes, they do, or no, they don't. But I try to share that with them. And then one thing that I think is really helped me a lot in the beginning, and I don't do it as much now, but I need to get back to consistent in doing it, is when I would send over an offer for signature. I would say, hey, I know you know what this is, but I'm going to go through some highlights with you just to make sure we're all on the same page. And I think that's huge because they think, okay, we're making sure that we agree on all these points. But also it was kind of like a way of me educating myself and making sure that I was hitting all the points that I needed to hit.
No, it's great. Especially, even if you've been in this 6 years, 20 years, however, there's always that chance that you might miss something. So going over it like that, I love the way that you put that too, of I'm just going to go over this really quick with you. And so it allows you to also catch anything and be, again, that fiduciary for your client to represent their interests well and make sure that that they're taken care of. So that's incredible. Wow. Yeah. I have learned a lot in this time from you. You are consistently an agent that I look up to as somebody who, when I say, okay, what does the perfect year one of an agent look like? I feel like you're the case study. So congratulations on all your continued success, your future success. It's an honor to be your friend, to be your teammate, to be in the same brokerage with you. We're running out of time, so let's tell the audience where they can find you.
Instagram, Facebook, learning TikTok.
Okay.
But everything is at Realtor by Design Staff.
Okay, at Realtor by Design Staff. Okay. Yeah. Make sure you drop a follow for Stephanie. Reach out to her if you're looking to buy in the DFW area. Highly recommended. She's an incredible agent. Any last parting words?
No, I think I've said plenty. No. Once I get, it's one of those things, once I start talking, I can keep at it. So
you're on a podcast. A long form podcast is the first perfect place to start talking. So you're good. Well,
thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Thank you so much
for having me.
For being here. It's been an honor. You can find us at House Brokerage. We would love to interact with you. If you know of any realtors who are are looking to join a brokerage, we have a great recommendation for you. So you can always check us out at join.housebrokerage.com and get some more information about the brokerage. But with that being said, my name is Matt, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Bryce, and we will see you next week.